and welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, never mind Unai Emery. Was this really worth treating Arsene Wenger like a guy who butchered your entire family with a knife and fork? For the last 3 years of his time at Arsenal, Wenger was essentially treated like a 7-year-old leper, a senile old man who must be driven out of his job before he burns the place to the ground.
Wenger should resign tonight, you arrogant, nasty man. Time to go, Arsene Wenger. I'm sick of it. But enough of you, Wenger blood. I don't deserve this blood. Wenger, come out of our club.
But just for a minute, let me remind you, this is a man who won 3 league titles at Arsenal, and you might think that's not great for a 20-year span, but before him, this club had won 3 league titles since 1953. So where does this entitled attitude come from? There's a guy who got you to within 14 minutes of being crowned European champions. Before him, you were a UEFA Cup regular who had only ever participated in the European Cup since 1972, when teams from Malta and Cork Hibernians used to compete. And in the immediate 5 years prior to Wenger's arrival in North London, they finished 4th, 10th, 4th, 12th and 5th. I know it's 2 years too late, but please, maybe it's time to start putting some respect on Arsene Wenger's name. If you just listen to certain sections of the fan base, you'd swear this man wasn't fit to turn on an oven unattended, that he was a fella with a brain so scrambled he wouldn't have even understood what the a corner flag was. Christ, if you listen to some of them, you'd wonder why he wasn't locked away in a nursing home, being fed his breakfast through a tube. He finished inside the top 4 20 times in 22 seasons. Even then, they only lost out by 1 point to Liverpool in 2018. Apparently that wasn't good enough.
Oh, he must be sacked. We only finished 6th in the league. It can't get any worse than this. It just can't.
Yeah, his last season at the club, they finished 6th in the league, reached the Europa League semi-final, and were runners-up in the EFL Cup final. Admittedly, it's not great, but look at them now. Yes, away from home under Arsene Wenger, Arsenal had the backbone of a constipated squirrel, but he'd still made the Emirates Stadium a fortress. In Wenger's final season in charge, you know, when he was apparently the worst manager in the league, you still won 23 games at home. You left that stadium with 23 victories that season. Was that not enough? Did that not satisfy you?
Oh, the football was boring. That style of football will put a cow to sleep.
Yeah, ha. Do you know how many goals Wenger saw his team score that season? 113. 113 goals! By contrast, we're nearly at Christmas, and the Gunners have scored 1 singular Premier League goal from open play since October 4th. Sure, they're able to stick a bunch of goals past a gaggle of Norwegian plumbers and Dundalk players who probably work part-time down their local spar, but in the Premier League, they've looked about as blunt as a pair of scissors used in primary school art class. I promise you, the only way Arteta is breaking the 100-goal mark this season is if he pays every Premier League manager to stick a 3-legged dog in nets. Apparently, everyone was queuing up to lick Arteta's ball bag because of an FA Cup final win. Yeah, this is the same trophy Arsene Wenger won 7 times, even when he was supposedly past it. An apparent decrepit waste of skin who couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag and had electricians from Luton screaming at him on a daily basis, he was still lifting it 3 times. Yeah, Arteta did well to win the FA Cup, but lads, there's the same trophy that's been won by Roberto Di Matteo, Harry Redknapp and Roberto Martinez of Wigan. It's hardly the hallmark of world-class managers. 2 years before Wenger's arrival, they were losing 22 games all season. If someone had told you then that this new guy arriving from Nagoya Grampus 8 out the backers of Japan would one day not only lead you to a Premier League title, but to do it without losing a single game all season, you'd rightfully consider him a footballing god, not one day trying to run him out of the club. Christ them up, they finished 12th that season in 1995. It's essentially like someone one day leading Everton to an unbeaten league title. I don't think we comprehend just how incredible that was. And yeah, winning that FA Cup was the worst thing that could have happened for a young manager trying to learn under the radar, because suddenly half the media was tipping him for greatness, saying that he's made a better start to a Premier League career than Jurgen Klopp, as if that was supposed to mean something. When Klopp arrived at Anfield in 2015, he had to wade through a sack of sloppy horse manure with a who's who of goalkeepers who couldn't catch the ball, brain-dead defenders who couldn't clear their f***ing browser history, and a fat Christian Benteke up front. If you want to compare managers' records, why not look at Unai Emery's first 30 games in charge? Because Emery had 13 more points than this. On Arteta's watch, you have failed to beat Everton, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, Chelsea again, Burnley, Man City, Brighton, Leicester, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Olympiacos, Liverpool, Man City again, Leicester again, Aston Villa again, Leeds and Wolves. In the space of 11 months, you have failed to win 19 games of football. And lads, within a week, I promise you it will be 2 North London derby defeats in the space of 4 months. Yes, Arteta had his moment last season. A masterclass against Man City in the FA Cup semi-final apparently.
Listen, Arteta, we've got to back him. Cronky, I am begging you, please, on my life, please give Arteta the funds. Give it to him. He's not the second, he's not the third, he's not the fourth, he's the one.
But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managed 2 wins against Pep last season. He was also outwitted by Daniel Farke and the guy who recently conceded 9 goals to a team coached by Brendan Rodgers. Seeing off Chelsea in the final was impressive, but was it really? That was an inconsistent first season for Frank Lampard. Yet again, another young manager learning on the job. Let's not forget they lost 16 other games of football last season. 16! Lampard was also tactically outclassed by the likes of Eddie Howe, Chris Wilder, Steve Bruce and David Moyes last season. And I don't see any Arsenal fan hailing them as Pep Mark II. Even Duncan Ferguson, the guy literally paid to hand out the cones in training. He even masterminded a win over Lampard last season. Christ above, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer beat him by 4 goddamn goals. If Arteta was such a managerial visionary, if he was the messiah, then how did he end up exiting European football at home to Olympiacos? If that was Wenger, you'd be chucking egg sandwiches at his car. There is enough talent in that Arsenal squad to be doing better than 14th. Is this really a squad which should be hanging on for dear life against Leeds? I don't care what Ozil has done. I don't care if he's made love to your pet dog on the kitchen table. I don't care if he was caught spying on your wife in the shower. If you are leaving out a bona fide world-class generational talent to instead rely on creativity from Joe Willock, it makes about as much sense as somebody calling out both Conor McGregor and KSI in the same goddamn breath. What sort of warped matrix reality do we live in, where Mr. It's Everyday Bro is now one of boxing's biggest prized fighters, and Ozil apparently isn't good enough to make a matchday squad for a team below Newcastle in the bastard league? Listen, I'm not saying Arteta doesn't have potential. I'm sure if you sit next to Pep Guardiola, you must pick up something. And I'm not saying assistant coaches can't become top-class managers, but they need space to breathe and learn their mistakes in the lower leagues first. Yes, Brendan Rodgers was part of Jose Mourinho's backroom staff, but good Christ, he needed time to fail at Watford and Reading first. So is this what Arsenal are now? A set of bastard training wheels to allow Arteta time to mess up? He should be doing this in the Championship. Derby County, that is someone who should be taking a gamble on Arteta, not Arsenal Football Club. Even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, no, he's not a Manchester United level manager, but we forget he has at least been a coach for over 10 years. But how and why did Arteta get this job? Based on what? Sitting next to Pep Guardiola for 18 months? Sure, it's in vogue right now for big clubs to now give the manager job to former legends of the club. Like Solskjaer, Lampard, Zinedine Zidane, Ronald Koeman, I get it. But Arteta wasn't even a legend. He was just some aging workhorse who didn't really do much. Most of these managers probably worry that taking the big job might tarnish their legacy at the club. But Arteta's legacy, sitting next to Aaron Ramsey in midfield, losing 5-1 to Liverpool, bottling title challenges, at least Ole and Lampard were proven winners. Arteta has only ever won 1 Intertoto Cup with PSG, a Scottish League and Cup double with Rangers, 2 FA Cups, and then that's it. This is like Chelsea giving the manager's gig to Scott Parker, or Man United deciding to employ Bastian Schweinsteiger as manager. People overstate the importance of assistant managers. It's a job description literally consisting of sticking out the cones in training. A trained monkey could do that job.
Oh, he plays good football.
But that wasn't the issue in the first place. Wenger oversaw good football, Christ above. Under him he played some of the most enthralling, attractive football in Europe. Now, the issue was that you had a defence made of melted butter, and clearly had an allergy for trips to the Big Six. But still, at least he knew how to convert the silky stuff into goals. Under Arteta, you've scored 7 league goals since the opening day of the season. 7! Fulham are 19th in the league, with a dressing room littered with championship players. And yet even they've scored more than you since the opening day of the season. Since that opening day win at Fulham, you've had 26 shots on target in the league. That seems like a lot. 26 shots, but spread out across 9 games, across 810 minutes of football, that is utterly hideous. You could have watched every single Star Wars movie back to back in the length of time it's taken Arsenal to get 30 shots on target. To put it in context, Patrick Bamford alone, he has 17 shots on target. Alone. This isn't Burnley or f***ing Stoke, this is Arsenal Football Club, and at the risk of sounding like Bill Cosby in a nightclub with a vulnerable girl, take a damn shot! And I might understand patience for Arteta if he had a CV to fall back on, like Carlo Ancelotti, Rafa Benitez, or even Unai Emery. But he doesn't. Yes, I understand everyone was excited that he was learning off Pep Guardiola, but let's not forget, during his playing days, this is a guy who spent 6 years listening to team talks by David Moyes, 2 years listening to Alex McLeish, you know, the same guy who recently lost 3-0 to Kazakhstan, and a further 5 being coached by Wenger, you know, the fella you guys all thought was about as tactically astute as a moldy banana. So yes, sitting beside Pep on the bench is great, but does that really unlearn you 13 years of tutelage from McLeish, Moyes, and Wenger? It's like Lewis Hamilton Hamilton giving you a 6-week tutorial of how to drive stick. But when you just spent the previous decade taking driving lessons from Marcus Alonso and the fat one out of Ant and Deck, pretty sure you're going to end up gripping the steering wheel with your feet. For all those who treated Wenger with utter contempt, wake up. This is your reality. 14th in the league. If Wenger dared to begin a season like this, I only dread to think what you'd have done. Anyway, a quick word on Raul Jimenez, who's just had surgery on a fractured skull. Apparently he's in a comfortable, stable position, so hopefully it's not as serious as what happened to Ryan Mason. Anyway, that's the end of it, lads. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.